All right, so we're back. Just by way of orientation, I've noticed that some people are finding this and I guess watching it or whatever. So you may be curious to know what's going on. Um, Although I am broadcasting, I'm broadcasting on a page that I haven't invited anybody to join. So I'm just really using this space because I work best from a place of performance, even if I'm the only person in the audience. It's good for me to get on the stage and talk to myself, which is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm doing it through Facebook because I don't want to store all the memory. It would be several gigabytes on my computer, and I don't want them there. So I'm storing it on my Facebook page. But for whatever reason, people are finding it and watching it. So hopefully you guys will realize that I'm not really talking to you. I'm writing a book, but this is my process. So let me get back to uh, segment 8 now of this conversation. We started this morning around 11 and it's 2:30 now. Hopefully we can finish, but we're only just over halfway through or about halfway through. So we'll see. This is from Billions, season 3, episode 10. If we had to impose an overarching theme on this episode, it would be people changing others' perceptions of them in a single day for good or bad. That's obvious for me. I guess, yeah, this is somebody's analysis of the episode. So the reason why I included that, because I think that is a lot of the work that I've spent my life doing, is working to change people's perceptions of me. Um, Ben Kim. In a generally heavy episode, the show decided that we needed a truly comic interlude. I love this episode, which did border on absolute cringe horror for a few minutes, and I'm filled with gratitude for it. Wendy and the audience had been so proud of Ben Kim calling out Dollar Bill last week. I fist bumped the air, and it was driving her nuts to see that he was sitting on a really great play because he was too anxious to bring it to Axe. Now, having chosen to introduce it to Axe at the worst possible time while he was courting a set of potential investors was beyond ill advised. I honestly cannot personally describe the shirt removal, the song choice, any of it. I'm a ghost now. But the play is good. The play is smart. Such a relief. Wendy should be proud. Wendy is working on Ben Kim's confidence levels so he will be able to pitch his ideas and be able to pee as his colleagues look on in the restroom. Ben needs to get out of his comfort zone and do something that terrifies him in public, claim his freedom, and prove his mom wrong. And possibilities seem endless. Maybe recite a sonnet, invite your colleagues to see you skydive, be a Toastmaster, or take your shirt off on the elevator and do a not very family friendly dance to Nelly's Hot in Here in front of the Kansas City people who will have a family style dinner at Carmine's before seeing family friendly Cats on Broadway. This was so funny. Ben Kim, P. This is now going back in time before his dance. He's in a conversation with Wendy. P, I had P fright. Come on, let's walk. This is Wendy responded to him. We do assessments of everyone who works here to see who might be a candidate for one of these offices. The C suite offices? That's right. Most of the time, it just confirms that most folks are exactly where they should be. They've topped out. Ugh, this so applies to me. I almost can't stand it. Or worse, they're going, they're going to bottom out. Is that what mine says? Would I have brought you up here if you were bottoming out? No. No. Well, actually, I might. If I thought you needed a joke. But this is not that. This is, right now, at this moment, if you want to finally live the fuck up to your potential instead of spiraling, you must find a way to shift the paradigm. That could be your office or that CIO picking the strategies, COO. That could be your office or that. CIO, picking the strategies. COO, managing the risk. Eh, maybe even owner. Yes, instead of being down there with them, but that's where you're comfortable. No, it's where you've made yourself fit because you're so bound up in being the smallest, most helpful, unobtrusive version of yourself. Just like your mother shits on your head for now. Now, what you need to do to prove her wrong and to prove it to yourself is something totally out of character, big and bold, something public that terrifies you in order to free yourself. Like recite a sonnet to a crowd, invite the office to see you skydive, become a Toastmaster, something totally out of character. You have to break through the confidence barrier because then you'll break through the C suite barrier too. This was such a powerful exchange. I love this so much. Read more, do something that scares you. So I did a Google search, and there's a link here about doing something that scares you. I had a John Teller letter from Dad to me about regret and joys of life, kids, etc. Oh, so one of the things, this is about me now. One of the things that Dad used to say to me and us, probably me more than anybody, is he had regret that he felt like he emphasized his work life and his satisfaction with his career life as opposed to his family life. And he thought as a result of that, we might be prone to pursue happiness and joy and fulfillment through work more than through family. And that's so obviously true for me. True words couldn't be spoken. But I think there's some theme of that in our family, right? And so this is me reminding myself that part of the way I could capture this part of my story is to write what I call a John Teller letter. The reason I call it a John Teller letter is because of the show Sons of Anarchy. There are these letters that Jax finds from his dad. His dad is was killed in a motorcycle accident several years ago. 20 years later, Jax finds all these letters where he talks about regrets and things that he did that he shouldn't have done, and if he had to do it all over again, how he would change it, and how he doesn't want his sons to make the same mistakes he's made. So that's what I'm talking about. There is a link here, how to leave the land of familiar. There's a SoundCloud, Leaving the Land of Familiar, Shane Perry. There's a YouTube link. So there's this whole thing. There was this book, Dream Giver. I've already mentioned Bruce Wilkerson. I think it's Wilkerson. But anyway, the guy that wrote The Player of Jabez, the the second book after his smash bestseller was Dream Giver. And part of what I loved about the idea of that book is I felt it told my story, which of course is just the hero's journey. But I didn't know the hero's journey at the time, so I traced it all back to Dream Giver. But it was this whole story about you have to be willing to leave the land of familiar in order to reach your destiny. So when I saw that thing about John Taylor and regret, it reminded me of that. People are dropping out. This was a meme I saw on Facebook. The whole world is short staffed. Be kind to those that showed up. There's a link here. What is this link? History of Women Philosophers. Encyclopedia. I don't know what that link is about. Let's check that link. Encyclopedia of Concise Concepts by Women Philosophers. Oh, there's just like all this really cool stuff. Encyclopedia of Concise Concepts. I'm not sure how I found that, but I did. I'll put it here. Okay. Here is a scene from the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. The opera scene from Bohemian Rhapsody, where they decide that no music ghetto can hold them, we don't want to repeat ourselves, the same formula over and over. This is Queen talking to their record company. We'll mix genres, we'll cross boundaries, we'll speak in tongues if we want to. No limits, no boundaries. Been to the circus. Expansion of the Oz reference, believing in magic, unguessed possibilities. So this is just a note to myself. I've been to the circus. I've held untenable principles and beliefs, tenets of faith. But like I said earlier, I think the point isn't whether or not they're tenable. I think what the point is, do they work for you? Here is an idea that I wanted to discuss: being mission-minded versus being fundamentalist. That was a huge breakthrough in how I ended up becoming a minister in the very first place. I knew I didn't want to be a fundamentalist preacher or minister or pastor or whatever, but when I discovered that there was an alternative, something called mission-minded, that's what called me into this field of labor. A note left on the hospital staff whiteboard by Dr. Kenneth Krell, director of Eastern Idaho's largest intensive care unit. I'll just read this. In the end, what sustains us and what we will remember about having survived this madness are the remarkable people who endured this with us, the best of humanity, all of us, who demonstrated the best of our calling. We endured this together and supported each other. We saved lives and lost lives, and we did both with a compassion and competence. We will not forget this. Krell. All right. So there's a script for True Blood, Season 2, Episode 1, The Veil Between Us and the Divine. The main idea is that we're all luckier than we can imagine. When I'm there, I feel like I'm meant to be part of it. I got a calling from Jesus or from Steve Newland himself. I love this so much. This is Jason Stackhouse talking to his sister Suki, and he's talking about how, having been charged with murder and having believed the worst of himself and having the whole town turn on him because he thought he killed everybody, he had an epiphany. And of course, in the middle of this bottoming experience, he's visited by this fundamentalist preacher from the Fellowship of the Sun. And they hand him this pamphlet and they basically talk to him about, he's called for this, such a time as this, and God wants to use him or whatever. He puts this kind of traditional church thing, which I've experienced so many times. But I love that because Jason goes from one extreme to the other. They are equally harmful to him. So here is an example of how the fantasy can actually cause harm. Uh, so this is several other topics for the book: finding cover, cultivating curiosity, pick and choose, don't disregard the irrational rituals, which I keep talking about today, giving thanks, changes perspectives, keys to happiness, find your reverence, it's about sacredness, forget your stereotypes, behavior changing thoughts, the five from Thanks a Thousand. I think these are just, oh, yeah, these are just ideas, thoughts I found from looking at TED Talks about topics, right? Looking up, about connecting. Smell the fertilizer, savoring the moment. Find the hidden masterpieces and fake it till you feel it. These are just a list of topics. Believe that you are loved and accepted. Grateful living. Noticing, seeing the invisible problems. Designing, habit forming, habituation. Problem solving, participating. Watch out for projection here. Objectivity, new learning, resting, and enduring. All right, so on these last four, one, two, three, four, there are descriptions that I'll read. Under objectivity, somehow detaching the mind from its surroundings, which came to be regarded with a kind of objectivity. At that time, one cultivated this state of mind as a means of protection. We were anxious to know what would happen next and what would be the consequence. This is the idea of objectivity. This is about new learning. In the next few days, our curiosity evolved into surprise, surprise that we did not catch cold. Oh, this is coming from Man's Search for Meaning. We did not catch cold. There were many similar surprises in store for new arrivals. The medical men among us learned first of all textbooks tell lies. First of all, textbooks tell lies. Somewhere it is said that men cannot exist without sleep for more than a stated number of hours. Quite wrong. I had been convinced that there were certain things I just could not do. I could not sleep without this. I could not live without that or the other. This is about resting. Yet sleep came and brought oblivion and relief from pain for a few hours. This is about enduring. We were unable to clean our teeth, and yet, in spite of that and a severe vitamin deficiency, we had healthier gums than ever before. Or a light sleeper who used to be disturbed by the slightest noise in the next room now found himself lying pressed against a comrade who snored loudly a few inches from his ear and yet slept quite soundly through the noise. Subthought under that is the thought of suicide was entertained by nearly everyone, if only for a brief time. And then explanation of that, it is born of three things: the hopelessness of the situation, the constant danger of death looming over us daily and early, and the closeness of the deaths suffered by many of the others. All right, so here is another alternative title or thought for the book: Reclaim Your Rapture. There's a link from the Flow Genome Project called Recapture the Rapture. And that's where that idea first came. Break your own rules, burst your own bubble, treasure your own heart, the road not taken, the poem. Forget your own limitations, accept a man strive lawfully. That's just a theme I meditated on, been obsessed with actually. Song lyrics, Healing by Richard Smallwood, which I need to check out. Here's another song, Exploder episode, John Batiste, We Are. Hidden Brain, Sunday Life, Death, and Character Studies. One of my favorites reads Maynard and the Hero of Gravity, and George Parks felt like a man. Not sure exactly where Character Studies of my favorite. Oh, Maynard. Who is that Maynard? Oh, not Maynard. I just didn't know how to pronounce his name. This is the guy who uh, is in the Arabic science fiction book series that I read. I forget the name of it right now. Something about gravity. And George Parks felt like a man. Okay, chapter 4. This is from Water Dancer. These are just different characters from childhood that I thought I should include at some point. Indian Creek, Pine Grove, Doak Neighborhood, Madison Academy, Lee High School, and family. Brand ambassador site model for the hero's journey. This isn't really a note for the writing. This is really about creating my site. And I'm going to take a break.